Hello and welcome back to the For the Badge podcast, coming at you solo style this week for the Champions League review. But we are going to start the For the Badge Predictions League in the Premier League as well this week. So we are looking forward to that. Gonna go ahead and just do a little rundown of some of these Champions League scores. Man City went down a man, and Copenhagen managed to get the draw. I actually watched the end of this game, and it was interesting that Copenhagen didn't go for it more. I wish they would have, honestly, as an Arsenal fan, but they did well to kind of hang on and get that draw. Maccabi Haifa with a crazy win at home versus Juventus. Juventus definitely struggling mightily this season. Who knows what's going on with their coach? Under a lot of pressure. Hopefully they can improve, and I expect that they will as time goes on. Moving on to the San Siro. Now, this red card was, for me, and when I first saw it, I thought it was just ridiculously harsh. I thought it was an awful call, to be honest with you. There wasn't even a mention of a VAR check at all. And so, as time has gone on, and I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've looked at the replays and listened to the analysis. I understand what he's saying. Doesn't go for the ball, denies a goal scoring opportunity. I respectfully disagree with that, and I still think it is just ruins the game. And we've seen that a lot in Champions League this season so far. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of tight called games. I don't know if that's on purpose. Maybe it just seems like that. But there's been a lot of red cards that have ruined some games this season, and I think um, that if that continues, it could mean. I mean, there's just so much money on the line for these games to be being ruined in the 18th minute. I understand the ref feels like he has no choice, but and credit Chelsea to, uh, not their fault. The defender makes the referee make a decision, and it goes against them. And Chelsea, professional about it, went ahead and got the victory. Big one for them. Momentum rolls on. Dortmund Sevilla finished 1-1. Looks like a pretty even game, that group. The race for second place in that group, obviously, that's City. They're a tie from Dortmund and Sevilla. Red Bull go to Celtic, get a good victory there. Salzburg versus Dinamo Zagreb, the other one in the group with Chelsea. It's very interesting that this one, the 1-1 here, kind of leaves this group way up in the air. Kind of a big result for Chelsea, I think. Now that they're on top of the table, you expect them to roll. PSG, big news coming out of them is that Mbappe apparently is unhappy, doesn't think he's being given what he's been promised with his contract signing recently. Um, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's really going on there? Maybe it's sensationalism. Maybe he made a comment and the media has just gone crazy over it. Who knows? But they got a 1-1 with Benfica. Tough match in Paris. Kind of feels like drop points for them, but I think they'll be all right in the league, in the Champions League this season. The Shakhtar game versus Real Madrid was actually played in Warsaw, Poland. So that was a kind of a real heartfelt game for the Shakhtar players. Pretty much everybody cheering for them, um, except for Madrid fans, obviously. You know, was a really tight game. Credit Madrid for showing up. They still have to play the game, even though there's so much emotion from the fans, from the world, because of the war that's going on there. And get the 1-1, the 95th minute tie, kind of sinks hearts in there. But they still have to go out, they still have to play, and it's Real Madrid. So I think they did well there to get that draw. And we move on to a couple of the other results in the Champions League. Bruges going through despite the red in the end. Uh, big surprises in Champions League this season. Uh, Getting a draw in Madrid. There you go. And it looks like they're top of the group as well. Probably going to hang on to that if I say so. The Napoli Ajax game. Napoli just flying, just cruising, doing great. Uh, Top of the Serie A, top of that group. Ajax struggle away from home again. Yeah, Napoli just too much. And then the big one, Barcelona Inter Milan. What a game this was. It was very even, kind of a tough match. I mean, I think Barcelona were dominating possession of the ball, until around the second half, I suppose. They got their goal in the first half, and then in the second half, things just kind of went nuts. This is why we love the Champions League. Crazy 3-3 draw. You thought Inter were going to sink hearts, and then Lewandowski comes up with an equalizer. I remember saying it was so back and forth. I remember thinking, man, Inter's gonna do him again, and then Barcelona with the 92nd minute equalizer, just to keep hopes alive. I personally don't think there's any hope, but mathematically still in it. I obviously don't want to see any of those, to be honest with you, in the Europa League for Arsenal, but we can't help that. Porto beats Leverkusen at home, 3-0, big win for Porto. We thought Rangers were going to do it in at least 20 minutes in, but Liverpool come back barnstorming. That will give them confidence, I think, going forward, especially Mo Salah getting his quickest hat trick in the Champions League history. Well done, Mo Salah. Maybe it'll give him confidence. Again, it's Rangers. I don't know. Let's hope it does. Massive game at the weekend on Sunday. And then we got Tottenham's group. Sporting take the red in the 60th. Actually, it looks like they've taken 2 red cards in this game. Good grief. Talk about ruining a game. 19th minute straight red. And again, granted, credit Marseille. They took care of business. I actually did not see that one, so I'm not sure how but again, it's a straight red card, just ruining a game. I don't know if there's discipline issues or if it really is just the refs being super stringent with the calls. I'm not sure. And then Tottenham kind of hanging on at the end of this one. They got the goals. Son with an absolute banger of a goal. We know he's got that in him. There was a red card in this one. Didn't really mar the game that much. In fact, I thought it was Frankfurt kind of, went for it after they got the red card. Got a late goal to make it 3-2. Real interesting one. Again, Spurs kind of hanging on at the end, but they get the win and go top of the group. And then, of course, Bayern Munich. What can you say? Just roll over. Pleasant little stroll in the sunshine in the Czech Republic. Definitely expected them to do that. They'll be top of that group for sure. So, Champions League roundup. Also have the Europa League on Thursday. We have Arsenal with kind of an interesting game in the Arctic Circle. Bodo's a tough place to go. They've won 14 games before this one. In Europe, they beat Roma 6-1 last season. And I think the only reasons you would say it's kind of a tough place is because of it's an artificial turf, and it's just ridiculously cold. It was it was almost freezing the whole game. It was raining. And we rotated the squad a lot. So about 7 changes maybe to the game against Liverpool. And tried a couple of different things. Vieira and Odegaard start for the first time together. I just thought Vieira needs to come get the ball a bit more. Needs to have a little bit more movement. He just wasn't in it. Wasn't in this game for me. And I thought that kind of hindered our possession play. We didn't move it out of the back as well as I thought we have in past games. But got a little lucky on the goal. I think the most exciting thing, honestly, about this game is when Saka blasts it over the goal and hits that guy up in the stands who's like looking around like, oh my goodness, that was hilarious. But yeah, important to get these 3 points. Important to win the Europa League group. Um, not much else to say about the game. I thought there was some experimentation, but yeah, I thought we were a little bit lucky. But we'll take it. We'll march on to the weekend. And then I've just watched the highlights for the United game versus Ammonia, and it's interesting that this team gave them trouble both of these games. Ammonia could have won the game despite the 27 odd shots that United had, or whatever it was. Um, lot of Rashford misses, a lot of saves from the goalkeeper, a couple of breakaways that they should have put away. Ammonia had a great chance to score. They should have crossed it. Instead, the guy was selfish, took a shot and missed it. Um, could have won this game, but McTominay comes in. Coach looks like a genius. Finally, after constant pressure, get the goal to win this one. So I do think that looking forward to this weekend, we have some tasty games coming up in just a few minutes. We got the Brentford Brighton game, and my prediction for this one is 2-1 to Brighton. I think Brentford are in a bit of a bad way right now. Brighton will bounce back away from home. I think it's going to be a good game, though. I think Brighton will just edge this one 2-1. And then at the King Power on Saturday, Crystal Palace versus Leicester. I think in the Palace-Leicester game, Palace are just going to be too much for Leicester, even though it's Leicester at home. I just feel like, especially with the attacking lineup they've played recently, that they're going to be able to get a couple goals, get a good win here away to Leicester, who are just completely struggling. Haven't been able to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Leicester. Again, they just have been sloppy, been relying on James Madison too much. I don't know. I think Palace are just gonna be too much for them, and I'm calling it 2-1 for Palace. Bournemouth go to Fulham at the 10 o'clock. One of the 10 o'clocks on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one. Fulham without Mitrovic are just not as good, but I think home field advantage is going to play a part in this one, and I think that Fulham are going to be able to just edge it 1-0. Then we have the game at Molineux. Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. This is going to be another one that's going to be both teams struggling to score. Nottingham have given a ton of goals recently, so I just think that I think Wolves are going to edge this one. Maybe Diego Costa pops up with a goal, gets the 1-0 for Wolves is what I'm calling. Then we got Spurs with hosting Everton. I think that Everton have definitely been better defensively, but I also think that with the return of Kulusevski, Spurs are going to be a bit too much for old Frankie Lampard's team. I just think that Everton will probably come at them a little bit. They might sit back as well. Spurs have been a little bit better recently with keeping more of the ball, but I do think that it will be a tough one for Everton. I think Spurs are just going to be too much. I think they'll be able to hit on the break as Everton come at them sometimes. I think Spurs are going to get it. It's 3-1 to Tottenham. Then we'll look to Villa Park. Chelsea coming to town on Sunday. I do think that the villains are going to come out just as they always do, be very physical. And it will depend on Chelsea handling that physical battle. I think they're going to be able to do it. I think that momentum is just going to roll on. I think it's going to be a 2-0 for Chelsea. Aubameyang might get on the score sheet again. He's scoring goals again. important for him. Pulisic might get into this game, might be able to have some influence. Huge, huge blow to Reece James. Oh man, that's going to be tough. Just recently seen he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. That is not good for Chelsea. I do think it won't be too bad. Cucurella, excuse me, will slot in, and I think that it's not a bad replacement at all. So I think they'll be fine defensively. At least they will miss Reece going forward. But I think in this game, they'll be able to take it 2-0 for Chelsea. Leeds Arsenal at Ellen Road. Going to be another test. Going to be another test for the Gunners. I think Leeds are not won in a few games, so they're definitely going to be up for this one. It's at home. The fans going to be right behind them. But I do think Arsenal are going to be just too much. We're flying right now. Definitely, if Jesus comes back into the squad, didn't train much this week, getting a rest. So I do think that everyone comes back in. I think we're just going to be way too much for Leeds. We're going to try to dominate the ball like we always do. A lot of energy, fast start. I think we'll take this one 2-0 and we will roll on. Then we got a really, really spicy game at Old Trafford. Newcastle coming to town. Uh, Big blow for them as well to not have Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's injured, an injury doubt. Maybe he'll start. Uh, Hopefully he does. That will be really, really good for Newcastle. I think this one's going to be an open game. I think that United will try to keep the ball, try to, at home it's, theater of dreams, as they say. It's going to be a tough one for Newcastle, but I think that they're going to be able to hit United on the break. They're just so fast. Likes of Almiron, St. Maximin will probably start. Callum Wilson is healthy. I think they've got the firepower to pull this one out. I'm calling a 3-2 for the Newcastle, for the Toon Army over the Red Devils. 3-2 for Newcastle over Manchester United. Then we have West Ham going to Southampton. I actually took a quick look at West Ham's highlights versus Anderlecht in the Conference League just a little bit ago. And Jared Bowen has found some scoring form. Skamaka obviously got the goal last weekend. It was a dirty free kick from Ben Rama to start the scoring off for West Ham versus Anderlecht. So, David Moyes has them playing good. They've scored 2 goals in every game for like 5 games running or something like that. So I think that they're starting to fire, they're starting to click, and Southampton are anything but. Interesting to think about maybe Ralph Hasenhüttl being the next coach that is under pressure. And so this one probably a pretty big game for them, but again, I just don't think they've got it going forward. I don't think they have enough edge up front. I think West Ham will take this one 2-0. Now, the Man City Liverpool game at Anfield is the talk of the weekend. Obviously, the blockbuster, the big game. Oof, oof. Because it's at Anfield, this makes this one pretty tough to call for me. Ah, man. My official prediction is Man City 4, Liverpool 2. Now, I just think that Liverpool don't have the midfield. They're going to run over in midfield, honestly. If they're going to have joy, it will be on the wings, trying to get in behind João Cancelo when he goes forward. Looking like Akanji will probably slot in at right back. So if they can get past him, which he's been locked down in the back for them so far this season. I think the likes of Jota and Firmino can definitely have some joy with their quality. Nunez getting a couple of goals recently, so he'll be confident. He'll be ready to play, ready to go. Salah with the hat trick. They got it. They got the pieces to hurt City on the break. If that's the way they decide to play. I think if they try to go toe to toe, though, if they try to match City pass for pass, like that, it's going to be a long afternoon for them. City just have too much. Haaland to score twice, De Bruyne a couple assists. Yeah, it's just going to be a barnstormer. So I'm predicting a big Man City win, 4-2. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that have got this one completely wrong, and Liverpool will take confidence from getting 7 goals in the weekend. Honestly, though, if Liverpool are going to win, it's going to be a low scoring game because they will be able to stand strong defensively and will nick this one. And they'll be under a lot of pressure. Alisson, we haven't said this in a while for Liverpool. Alisson is going to have to come up so huge in this game. He's going to have to make some saves for Liverpool to get the win. But it is at Anfield, and I think that's going to make a big difference. I've been thinking about recently in recent weeks how home field advantage is pretty big, especially in Champions League, especially in Europa League. And on paper, beginning of the season, this is Man City's toughest fixture in the league. And I think Pep will remind them of that. I think Pep Guardiola will have the City players up for this one. So I just think they're going to be too much for Liverpool. I can't wait. In fact, I'm pretty excited about the beginning of Premier League weekend coming up in just about 5 minutes at the time of this recording. So there you have it. Those are my predictions. We're going to go and get this prediction league started. My man Xavier will have his predictions in, and we'll talk about his in the next video. And we'll talk about how we're going to keep points on this, and we'll total it up for the very first time at the end of the weekend. Again, this has been the For the Badge podcast. A little bit of a shorter one for you this week. Don't forget to hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for all of our videos. Look us up on the For the Badge Facebook page and the Instagram. We also have a Twitter account out there for the Badge Pod, and we are on TikTok as well. So find us where you can find us. Most of all, right here on YouTube. Thanks again for watching. I am Jake. This is the For the Badge podcast. Peace.